Yeah, so basically what's going on is that there's a project that has been proposed to kind of help revitalize the city of Camden, the waterfront area, and basically the artistic renderings that have been put out depict these big skyscraper buildings right on the waterfront that obviously that make it look like a nice place to go and to try and drive some business.
Almost like a small metropolitan area.
Right, yeah, and with the struggling Camden, that has plagued the area for so long. I mean, it's looks like a good project, but it might have its downsides. So now joining us on the phone is Bob Patterson, who previously was a senior speechwriter at Health and Human Services under George W. Bush and served as a senior policy advisor in the Department of Public Welfare under Tom Corbett. Bob, thanks for joining us here on Rational Radio.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, now is it Ryan?
It is, yeah.
Ryan and the other fellow's name?
Ryan as well.
Yeah.
It's Ryan and Ryan. Yeah.
So it's Ryan and Ryan.
Yes.
Okay, Ryan and Ryan, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming on.
So talk to us a little bit about why you think this project won't kind of be what it's cracked up to be in Camden.
Well, to start, retail, entertainment, offices, and services are certainly nice, but when the construction jobs come and go, the office and retail establishments are just moved in from the suburbs, so what we have is a reshuffling of the deck chairs. Sooner or later, the gleam is gone, and place else becomes the shiny new place to go. So basically, I would suggest that the waterfront project is doomed from the start to become another Atlantic City. It's a boom and bust waterfront project that the shine of that will wear off as soon as some other place replaces it.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's interesting to see what they've proposed for this, because from the pictures that they've released, I mean, it looks like
a very prosperous environment. It looks like they're trying to portray here.
If you really want to create genuine wealth and revitalization, you really need manufacturing. From what I've read and studied of these plans, there's not a lot of manufacturing component to this, and it really pales in comparison to the glory days of Camden back in the 1950s. Back in the 1950s, Camden had about 43,000 high-paying wage jobs. Great companies had huge production facilities. Campbell Soup, RCA, New York Shipbuilding, huge, good jobs for average workers, most of whom did not have college degrees. And they could raise a family. It supported the city of Camden, and it contributed to a dynamic industrial region called Philadelphia and South Jersey.
Yeah, Bob, so now that you're talking about this 1950-ish glory days of Camden, do you think that in anywhere in the near future, Camden will be able to get back to that glory day status, or do you think that the damage has already been done and it's irreversible?
Well, we could get that glory back if we brought back manufacturing. We've got to bring back true growth drivers to an economy. Services are fine, retail is fine, but they are not true growth drivers for an economy. You've got to have either manufacturing, agriculture, or resource extraction. Those are the three vital components of wealth creation. So I would say we've got to bring back modern manufacturing industries to Camden, defense-related industries, steel, shipbuilding, electronics, and pharmaceuticals.
And do you think that ultimately that's easier said than done? I mean, what do you think is going to help entice these businesses to come back?
Well, there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
Businesses to come back. First of all, our federal policies, these trade deals we've had since NAFTA, the WTO, the pending TPP, will not help bring back manufacturing back. But I guess I would start with several things. One, I would narrow those tax credits, because this project relies on a lot of tax credits from the New Jersey Department of the New Jersey Economic Development Authority will be issuing out tax credits. But I would issue those tax credits, and I would devote them exclusively to bringing back actual manufacturing jobs, because manufacturing jobs are really the key for most average workers. It's the quickest route to the middle class, and it creates true wealth.
Yeah, so we're on the phone here with Bob Patterson talking about the Camden New Revitalization Project. And so, Bob, what you're saying is you think that manufacturing will be the key to the future for Camden. Is it in all?
If we don't bring back manufacturing, Camden will never see a renaissance.
Okay, yeah, I completely agree with you. I see. Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done, but I think that being on the waterfront, there's a lot to offer for manufacturing, for shipping purposes. I mean, there's so much that you can do there.
Yeah,
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, the New York Shipbuilding Corporation, back from World War I until the 1950s, was the largest and most productive shipbuilding shipyard in the world.
Mm-hmm.
In the world.
Yeah.
And so we've got to bring back some of these true growth drivers, and not just shipbuilding. I'd bring back electronics, steel, anything defense-related, pharmaceuticals. You know, Philly, South Jersey is a huge pharmaceutical center. These things will be being made here.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, they have the perfect location. I mean, right on the Delaware River.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be able to support like these jobs, like shipbuilding. I mean, it's a path right there.
I mean, it's a path right there, and shipbuilding can bring so many jobs to that market that it could do immense work for that small community right there, and it can just completely just blow up and just improve their economy in Camden.
Yeah,
absolutely. When you look at the labor market in New Jersey, 2/3 of the labor market do not have college degrees. And so we've got to figure out, how do you create jobs for Americans without college degrees?
Yes.
And manufacturing has historically always been able to provide a good wage for average Americans. They're coveted jobs with good benefits. You can raise a family on one salary or one wage. These are decent jobs. These are the jobs that Americans want.
Yeah, and I think one thing to point out in the article that you wrote that is now on Philly.com and will be in the print edition tomorrow is that this project is said to create thousands of new construction jobs, but once the construction is done, the jobs are gone as well.
Well, that's true too. And not only are the construction jobs short term, but neither the Liberty Property Trust or the New Jersey EDA has called for a Buy American component. Okay, you're building these huge steel and glass skyscrapers. Why not require all the steel and all the glass, all the concrete, all the wiring? Those things should be made in America.
I completely agree with you.
That would dramatically help the American manufacturing sector.
Exactly.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, that could be a huge part of it because then it just keeps fueling.
Exactly, it fuels us. It fuels our people. And I mean, these manufacturing jobs. This is what our country was built on. These were the people, the 9 to 5, who took their lunch pail to work every day, worked hard, put in a good day's work, and came back to their wife for a dinner on their table. And that's what we need to get back to here in Camden. And I completely agree with you, Bob. I mean, what you're saying is so true, and it's what's going to lead to the future of Camden.
And Ryan,
yes.
Remember that Alexander Hamilton, our first Treasury Secretary, he was the father of the first American industrial park up in Patterson, New Jersey.
Okay.
That was the first industrial park. And he would, if he was running things today, he would insist that we build these things by Americans, we use American resources, and this is what helps stimulate manufacturing in a country.
Yes, it does. 100%.
Absolutely, and I think it's just so interesting. I mean, because you always hear everybody out talking about, this will create jobs, and there are however many thousands of jobs that we're going to create. Yep. But then you don't look, when you look further into it, how many of those jobs actually stay there and
are long lasting,
right.
and then can promote growth, and it's not just a dead end job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's something. And another thing that they've been touting, and that Bob touched on, you touched on this a little bit earlier, were the tax credits. And they've been saying that they've been able to offer huge tax credits for these people that they're hoping will help draw them in.
Well, keep in mind, in the 1950s, there were no generous tax credits issued by the state to bring in Campbell Soup or to bring in RCA or to New York Shipbuilding. These jobs, didn't depend upon the generosity of the state. And so there's another comparison why this does not hold a candle to Camden's glory days.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just, I mean, in the article you wrote 11.9 unemployment rate in New Jersey. I mean, they want new jobs. They need new jobs to come into this state to help stimulate the economy. And so, I mean, it's just it's something that's really interesting to look at. Bob, we really appreciate you calling into the show to discuss this issue.
Well, I'm glad you guys like the articles. Tell your listeners to get the newspaper tomorrow. Check it out.
We will.
Yeah, we'll do. And hopefully we can have you back sometime.
Ryan and Ronnie, be glad to have be on your program again.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was great to talk to you.
Thanks, Ryan and Ryan.
No problem.
No problem. So, yeah, great article by Robert Patterson. Check it out in the Philly Inquirer in print tomorrow, or if you're interested right now, it's on Philly.com. But, yeah, you know, he comes back to the point of having manufacturing as the key to Camden for the future. And and I 100% agree with him. We need to get back to our roots of what he was saying in the glory days. And going back to our roots is what's going to pull Camden out of this slump that they're in right now, and it's going to make them a prosperous place again. They're going to bring in manufacturers. We had Campbell back then, and we can have shipyards right here on the Delaware River. I mean, it's just one of those things that we need to go back from where we came from to get us out of the slump of where we are. And I think that's true for all across America right now. We're so reliant on other places all around the world that we need to get back to who we are, America, and where we come from, which is within our own borders.
Yeah, well, why can't, I mean, how about let's look at what we are good at and what we have a surplus of. I mean, he said it. We were built on manufacturing. I mean, there are lots of blue-collar workers that are skilled in that industry that once it all went away, I mean, then they're left
they're out of a job.
Right.
That's why our unemployment rate is where it's at right now. I mean, we had Bethlehem Steel, which I grew up 15 minutes away from the plant. And, I mean, my great-grandfather worked there for his entire life, from when he got out of high school until he died. And he provided for a family, and they did well. They didn't have to worry about where their next meal was coming from, and that's what, like I said, that's what this country was built upon, and that can still happen today. You know, we have the resources to do that, and I don't understand why we don't.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely something that needs to be considered, and I love the point that he brought up about how bring shipbuilding back and bring defense industries back, because look where they are.
Yeah,
they are right on the river.
They're right on the water,
and so that makes you don't have to worry about how are we going to get a train and a truck there.
Yep,
and then
it's right there.
Right, you can put so much more on a ship that you literally just send in from the ocean up the Delaware River. They offload right there. And then that brings so much more to Camden, because then think of all the possibilities. Literally, you open up everything, you put it on a ship, and it can come right in
there. We can open up ports for shipping of import cars, things like that. You know, all the things that we import can come right into that area and can just be dispersed anywhere or bring right into us, right into the heart of Camden, and then spread out through there.
Yeah. So I mean, I see why they want to go with the tall skyscrapers, right? Because they want
it's big and
it's
glory,
like flashy,
it's beautiful. They want to make it more pretty to look at, but when it comes down to it, we don't want pretty. We want results.
Right.
Results is what manufacturing is going to do.
Yeah. I mean, look at what we talked about earlier. The construction jobs that will come, build it, and then they will be gone.
Yep.
Once it is built, I mean, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gone, and all that's left is those buildings. And those buildings the buildings themselves aren't going to be creating jobs and giving money to the economy around Camden. But if we were to substitute those two tall buildings that I'm looking at on the Philly.com website of Robert Patterson's article, if you were to put two steel stacks there, some working men, those are what's going to create job, and that's what's going to make Camden better.
And it's not to say that manufacturing doesn't, it's not going to make the city ugly. No. Because then you take the money that it's generating and then you put it back. Yeah. And maybe eventually we'll get to this point. And then but we need to start from the bottom. We can't just say start at the bottom and say, all right, we're going 0 to 100.
And we're going to put a 30 foot or 30 floor skyscraper that's going to make our skyline look pretty. But no, if they're going to have two nice buildings right here on the waterfront, but then the rest is just going to be nothing much.
If you look at the render, it is one tall building, and then there's like nothing. It looks like a little small building, and then there's another medium-sized building, and then it's back down.
Yeah, but if they were to put manufacturing jobs, some factories, shipbuilding right there, right on that waterfront, the rest, that whole horizon in the background, that would be filled with buildings like this.
Right, because then you just build back from.
Yes,
you say, okay, here's the
yes.
manufacturing right on the waterfront. They can bring in their steel, the everything, all their materials come in right here. And then look at this. Here's the business district.
Yes.
Look at everybody in the back right here.
This is where our suburbs are. This is where the people who are our manufacturers, our pharmaceuticalists who are working in these factories, this is where they live.
Yeah.
This is their grand vista.
Yeah, so it's something really interesting.
Yeah.
And our thanks to Bob for calling in the show to discuss this further.
It's a great article, and I hope he comes back to talk to us sometime.